Good morning and welcome everyone to our discussion on problem solving and decision making in project management. Today we are diving into chapter 15, which is honestly one of the most practical chapters you will encounter because let us face it, problems are inevitable in any project. There will always be problems, okay? So think about it this way. You could have the most detailed project plan, the best team, and adequate resources, but somewhere along the line, something unexpected will happen. Now, the question is not whether problems will occur, but how well you will handle them when they do. Okay? So, throughout our discussion today, I'll be using a real world scenario, the same, the our hypothetical scenario, which is the Metro Manila General Hospital, and their challenging experience in implementing the new hospital information system. So this hypothetical scenario will help us see how the concepts we discuss actually play out in practice. So let us begin by understanding what problems really are in the context of project management. So now let's dive into what we actually mean when we talk about problems in project management. So can you focus on this slide right now or on your screen? You can see we have a clear definition, different types of problems, and a key principle that guides everything we do. Okay? So a problem is the gap between your actual or perceived situation and your required or expected situation. So this is not just something went wrong, okay? It is much more specific than that. Now let me show you what this means using our Metro Manila General Hospital hypothetical scenario. So Dr. Medina expected her hospital information system project to run smoothly, wherein the original scope is 18-month timeline with a 50 million peso budget. So that was her expected situation. But what was the actual situation in 6 months in? Scope creep from emergency and surgery departments, staff boycotting training sessions, integration failures, and budget overruns. So that gap between what she expected and what was actually happening, that's the problem we need to solve. Now, notice the word perceived in our definition. So these matters because sometimes the gap is not about objective reality, but about how people see the situation. So Dr. Aquino, the 60-year-old cardiologist, perceived the electronic medical records as taking too much time away from patients. So whether this was objectively true didn't matter, okay? His perception created real resistance that Dr. Medina had to address. Now, looking at the 5 types of problems, you can see that problems require different response speeds and approaches. So, immediate reaction needed. Think of medical emergency, okay? If MMGH system exposed patient data, you cannot schedule a meeting about it, okay? Crisis response. So, example, crisis response serious, but you have time to think, okay? So, example, when they discovered patient test results were going to wrong patients due to ID formatting issues, this needed quick action but allowed for a planned response. Next, emerging problem. So emerging problem, these are the problems that you can see it developing, such as the poor training attendance at NMGH was a warning sign that bigger resistance was coming. Next, the opportunity response. So these are turning potential problems into advantages. So, example, the department requests for additional features could have been opportunities, though MMGH let them become scope creep. Okay? Now, strategic formulation, which is a long-term planning problems. Okay, so MMGH decision to digitize was solving the strategic problem of staying competitive in modern healthcare. Now, the principle says, it happens. What matters is how you deal with it. So this should be your mindset as a project manager, that problems happens, okay? That problems are normal, inevitable, and not a reflection of your planning skills, okay? So your professional value comes from how you effectively handle those problems that arise from time to time. So now that we understand what problems are and the different types we encounter, let us move to the practical side, okay? The tools we can use to solve them systematically. So, as you can see on your screen, there are 3 tools that will become your go-to methods for tackling problems in any project. So let's go with the first one, the Pareto analysis, or commonly called the 80-20 rule. So this is based on the principle that 20% of causes create 80% of your problems. Now the key is focusing on the vital few rather than the trivial many. So let me show you how this applies to our hypothetical scenario. Now, if Dr. Medina had listed all their problems, such as scope changes, staff resistance, integration issues, vendor delays, security vulnerabilities, poor training attendance, so Dr. Medina might have felt overwhelmed, okay? But using Pareto analysis, she could identify that staff resistance was probably causing 80% of their implementation difficulties. Now think about it. Resistance led to poor training attendance, which led to improper system usage, which created more problems and reinforced the resistance. So, by focusing primarily on addressing staff resistance through better change management, she could have resolved multiple issues simultaneously. Okay? So let's proceed to the next tool, which is Ishikawa or fishbone diagram. So this tool maps cause and effect relationships using 5 categories. Okay, remember the 5 categories. The first one is the people, the second one is the process, the third one is the equipment, the fourth one is the materials, and the fifth one is the environment. Now for our hypothetical scenario, staff resistance problem, we could break it down like this. First one, people. So, Dr. Aquino's resistance to change, which is lack of buy-in from senior doctors, process training sessions too technical, inadequate hands-on practice. Okay? So, let's go back. So we go with people. So the people, so these are Dr. Aquino's resistance to change, wherein there's a lack of buy-in from senior doctors. Now, when we say the second one that you have to to take note is the process, right? So the process, so these are the training sessions that might be too technical, and then the inadequate hands-on practice. The third one is the equipment. So the equipment, these could be the system that might be too complex and the poor user interface design. The fourth one is the materials, right? So for the materials, it might be lack of proper training materials or no quick reference guides. Okay, and the last one is the environment, right? So this could be the hospital culture resistant to change and the pressure from management to implement quickly. So this comprehensive view ensures you do not miss important contributing factors, okay? So you have to remember the five factors that we have discussed. And the last tool that you may use is the cause-effect cost analysis. So this actually goes deeper by identifying root causes and showing how problems interconnect, okay? So instead of just asking, what caused this? You keep asking, why? Why and why? Until you reach the fundamental root cause. So for the hypothetical scenario, the poor training attendance was not just about the scheduling, okay? It actually traced back to inadequate stakeholder consultation during planning, which created a system that did not match user needs, which created resistance, which led to poor participation, okay? So these tools help you move from feeling overwhelmed by problems to having a systematic approach for understanding and solving them. And that brings us to the end of today's discussion on problem solving and decision making in project management. So let me leave you with some key takeaways. The first one, problems are inevitable in any project, okay? Well, they are not a sign of poor planning or management failure. What distinguishes successful managers is not avoiding problems, but developing systematic approaches to handle them effectively. The second are the tools that we have discussed today, the Pareto analysis, the Ishikawa diagrams, and the cause-effect cost analysis. Okay? So they are not just theoretical concepts. They are practical instruments that can help you navigate complex situations like the one Dr. Medina faced at Metro Manila General Hospital. Had she applied these tools early in the project, many of the cascading problems could have been prevented or resolved more efficient. Okay? And I want you to remember our key principle. What is our key principle? It happens. What matters is how you deal with it. So this mindset will serve you well throughout your career in project management. So now, here is what I want you to do for our next session. You are all working on project proposals for your chosen companies, right? So I want you to take these three problem-solving tools and apply them directly to your ongoing project proposals. Now think about the potential problems you might encounter in your proposed project. And trust me, every project will really have them. Okay? So you use Pareto analysis to identify which 20% of potential causes might create 80% of your problems. You also create an Ishikawa diagram to map out possible causes across the 5 categories for your most critical anticipated problem. And you have to try using cause-effect cost analysis to trace back the root cause of any issues you can foresee. Okay? So this is not just an academic exercise. You are actually building a risk management foundation for your real project proposals. Now, when you present to your chosen companies, being able to demonstrate that you have thought systematically about potential problems and how to address them will set your proposals apart. Okay? So it shows professional maturity and strategic thinking that companies do value. So come prepared to share how you have applied these tools to your specific project contexts. And we will use your real examples as we dive into decision-making frameworks and explore how to move from problem identification to solution implementation. Okay? So the Metro Manila General Hospital hypothetical scenario shows us that problems in projects are rarely isolated incidents. Okay, so they are actually interconnected webs of causes and effects. But it also shows us that with the right tools and systematic thinking, even complex problems can be understood and actually addressed. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for your attention today, and I'll see you on our next meeting. Have a great day, everyone.